In this video, we will show you more about pieces and their properties. After importing pattern pieces into vStitcher, we can see them in the 2D window. On the Resources tab, if we go to the 2D part, we can see a list of the pattern pieces and each piece's name. To rename a pattern piece, we double-click the existing name and type in the new name. To view the different parts of the pattern piece, we can simply expand the list. For example, we can now see the edges, internal lines, artworks, and so on. Note that when we click on an element in the Resources tabs, it is highlighted in the 2D and 3D window. It also works the other way around, so that when we click on an element in the 2D or 3D window, it is highlighted in the 2D tab. In the 2D window, we can hide a piece by right-clicking it, then Don't Use Piece. This removes the piece from both the 2D and 3D window. If we mark a pattern piece like this, note the icon that is displayed in the Resources tabs. To bring the piece back so that we can see it in the 2D and 3D window, we click that icon. If we decide that we don't want a piece to be shown draped in the 3D window, we can see this in the context view. If we mark a pattern piece like this, note the different icon that is displayed on the Resources tabs. Let's go back to the 2D window. One of the options we have here is to choose what information is displayed. For example, we can hide or show textures, grain line, shape information. Note that shape information includes the system-generated ID number for each pattern piece. If we want the shape information to include the name we give our pattern pieces, we have to set this separately. In the main menu under View, choose the 2D display to set your information. Having the piece ID and name display make it easily to identify our pieces, especially when working with more complicated garments. Now, let's talk about some pattern piece properties. In vStitcher, we can create symmetrical copies of patterns. We have two types of symmetry. We can create symmetrical pieces, or we can create patterns with inner symmetry. Piece symmetry is used for patterns which are separate but mirroring one another, for example, sleeve patterns. Inner symmetry is used on patterns which mirror themselves, for example, t-shirt bodice patterns. Creating symmetrical patterns links the two pieces so that edit actions done on one piece are automatically done on the other. In addition, stitching to or from one piece is automatically done on the other. In general, it is recommended to use symmetrical patterns in vStitcher when working with garments which are symmetrical. This avoids discrepancies when adjusting patterns or stitching, and it is a much more efficient way to construct your garment. Symmetry is different from a cloned pattern. We can clone pattern pieces by right-clicking on the pattern and selecting Clone. This just creates a duplicate pattern piece, but the two pieces are completely independent. Remember that we can use keyboard shortcuts. For cloning patterns, we can use Ctrl-C to copy and Ctrl-V to paste. If using a Mac, it's Command-C and Command-V. Let's begin by looking at piece symmetry. Piece symmetry can be identified by the annotations at the bottom of the patterns. The pattern indicated X is the parent pattern, while the pattern indicated as SymX is the child pattern. To have a better understanding of this, let's turn on shape information to see the pattern ID. In this case, pattern 5 is the parent pattern, as seen by the annotation below. Its child pattern is pattern 31. Let's create another child pattern. The multiple child patterns are indicated below. To create piece symmetry, we click on the pattern followed by the X in the context view. This creates a symmetry where the grain lines are mirrored. If Y is selected, the grain line of the pattern is not mirrored. To cancel piece symmetry, we must select the child pattern and cancel the symmetry in the context view. Now, let's have a closer look at inner symmetry. Patterns with inner symmetry have a dotted line in the middle to indicate the pattern is mirrored. To create inner symmetrical patterns, the pattern should already be symmetrical to begin with. We select the pattern and click Create. If we start with only half of the pattern, we click on the edge where the pattern will be mirrored from and create edge symmetry. To cancel symmetry, we can select the pattern and select either Keep Half or Keep Both. This depends if we only need the original half of the pattern or the full pattern without symmetry. In this video, we have shown you more about pieces and properties. For more information, check out the Browseware Help Center.